A budget smartphone with great battery life, great cameras and a great display all in a good build. Is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 Pro the best smartphone under Rs 18,000? So hey guys, I'm Abhishek and let's review the Redmi Note 5 Pro.
So I'm not crying.
So guys, we are going to divide this review into many different departments like the camera, the specs, software and all its features, and finally the pros and cons. Let's start with the physical overview. On the front is the 5.99-inch Full HD Plus display, the earpiece sensors and a 20 megapixel front camera with an LED flash which is going to help on those low light selfies. On the right are the volume rockers and the power button. On the left is the hybrid SIM tray with storage expansion up to 128GB. On the bottom is the micro USB port, speaker, mic and the headphone jack, which is pretty great to see in 2018. On the top we have the secondary mic and IR blaster, and on the back we have the 12 megapixel and a 5 megapixel configuration with a camera with a dual tone flash and the fingerprint sensor with the Xiaomi branding. Now while that's done, let's give a glance to the inbox contents in the further part of the video. So here is the box itself, and you can see the big Made in India logo at the back. Opening the box, you see some documents, the phone itself, SIM ejector tool, charger and the USB cable. This phone supports fast charging, but you have to buy the fast charger separately. I think it is not a big deal, as considering the price of the phone, it's not gonna be a problem. Keeping all that away, let's dive into the build quality. This phone has a metal bag with the top and bottom being plastic for signal reception. I feel the metal bag will be kind of more durable than the glass bag, which we will see, which you can actually see on Honor 9 Lite and also the coming up Acer Zenfone 5. And the metal will definitely be more durable to the drops and won't shatter like the glass. The front glass is the Gorilla Glass, but Xiaomi hasn't mentioned which Gorilla Glass it is, as it does with like other phones I guess. The camera module might get scratched due to its indentation, but I feel that phone case which is like a little bit thick and all can protect the camera module and it won't get scratched. So I feel the build won't disappoint you at all. Now coming to the main thing, the specs. This phone houses a Snapdragon 636 clocked at 1.8 GHz, and it's definitely an octa-core processor built on 40nm technology, which is very efficient, and handling those graphical things is the Adreno 509 GPU. This has a 4GB RAM variant with 64GB of storage, which can definitely be expanded up to 128GB as I told with the help of an SD card. On the front is the Full HD Plus 5.99-inch display in the 18:9 aspect ratio, which makes this phone look so 2018-ish, and it's pretty great as all of the phones or the brands are switching up to those things like the new ratio display. All the internals live upon the 4000 mAh battery. I think it's a 100 mAh drop since the last Redmi Note 4, as it has a 4100 mAh battery, but still the 4000 mAh battery is still like a big beast. Now the next thing is the software, which is very important for many of the Android users, as out of the box this phone operates on Android Nougat version 7.1.2 disguised with MIUI 9.5 on top. And as per the news, this phone will be surely getting the Android Oreo update very soon. But I feel as this phone is running on MIUI or on top of Android, it's gonna give you more features than stock Android definitely, and I think you won't find a difference if you use different Android versions with the MIUI on top. Also, this applies same for all other Chinese operating system which is running on top of Android. Now after talking about the Android version, let's talk about some of the features available on MIUI which are very handy and one may use on daily basis. Let's start with the one hand mode, which eases the use of using this huge display by shrinking it down to either left or right side depending on which side you swipe. Also, these quick toggles can be placed on any one side of the edge of the display, which will give access to navigation buttons on tapping them and a few other functions like screenshots, etc. Now the next feature is called Dual Apps, which can make two instances of the same app if you wish to use multiple accounts on the same device. You can also lock the apps individually by the provided app lock feature if you wish to unlock some of your apps which you feel are having some confidential data and all these things. Also mentioning the gestures like 3-finger swipe to take a screenshot and many more. The IR Blaster is a great addition which we can see on all Xiaomi phones, and it can help you to control many of your devices like your TVs and ACs, which is a very good addition. So let's start with the gaming and benchmarks. The Adreno 509 GPU with the Snapdragon 636 can handle all the intensive titles and have minimal to no lag while playing the game. Looking at the benchmarks, the phone scores pretty well, as you can see from the screenshots, with single score being at 1330 and multi-core being at 4855. But as you know, we can't trust benchmarks all the time, so here is a little gameplay of Guns of Boom on this thing. So this game has a 60 FPS mode, and that's on right now, and if your phone is capable of playing at that mode, then it's pretty entertaining as the game plays very smooth, and this phone is definitely capable of doing that. So the gameplay is very smooth. This is a 3 to 400 MB game, and it's an online game, so considering that maybe the server affects the performance or the 60 FPS mode and the size of the game, this phone is handling it pretty well. Now coming to the battery life, the 4000 mAh battery can survive for 1.5 to 2 days depending on your usage. But you have a heavy usage, maybe 1 to 1.5 day is pretty good. But if you have like light usage, then maybe 1.5 day to 2 days can be pretty good enough. So the phone does get warm on gaming and using the phone like outside, but especially the most important thing, like it doesn't overheat. But yeah, definitely like it's like hot sun outside and you're out in the afternoon, then the metal back will get definitely warmer, not like overheating kind of thing, but it will definitely get warmer. So that's the thing. So as we covered up all the points, let's talk about the camera. The front camera is a 20 megapixel lens with f2.2 aperture, and it also have an LED flash which can help you in low light selfies, but I think your face is not going to look that good with that bright of a light. So the rear camera is having dual lens configuration of 12 megapixel and 5 megapixel with an aperture of f2.2 and f2.0 respectively. The phone can record 1080p 30fps videos, and it does have electronic image stabilization, that is EIS, and it's going to stabilize the video pretty good. And you can also record slow motion videos, but definitely it's going to be low resolution. The flash can also help in low light condition, and as it's dual tone, it's not going to mess up with the colors. But the portrait mode works out just fine, as the edge detection is not that constant and does go off and on some of the conditions. So here are the sample shots in outdoor conditions and also the indoor low light conditions. So as you can see from the sample shots, the indoor and outdoor performance is pretty great, but I feel the photos turn out to be pretty dark, and I think you need to adjust the exposure and all of the photos. But the details are kind of more important, so the photos are high in detail, and I think that's a nice thing. So guys, finally mentioning the small things which are to be considered while buying a phone, such as network reception, which is definitely pretty great on this phone until you are going to use this phone in the jungle. And I've used this phone with Airtel and Vodafone, and both work pretty great. The output from the speaker is pretty loud. Actually, the speaker is very loud considering the price of this phone. So you aren't going to miss any calls if your ringtone is on or something like that. And the output from the headphone jack is also pretty acceptable, or you can say pretty good. So if you're planning to use some heavy headset or studio headphones, then it's not going to be a problem. So overall, I would say that this phone is going to give you some great battery life, great gaming, and great cameras. So I feel this is a great phone with a great value, which is a great value for money, and it's not going to disappoint in any of the things which a person considers on a smartphone while buying a smartphone. So let's start with the price. This is a 4GB RAM 64GB storage variant, and this costs for 15,000 15,000 rupees. Earlier it was 14,000 rupees, but as Xiaomi has increased the price on the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Mi TVs, so this is the 1,000 rupees hike, which I think it's not much, but still it's a price hike, so it's important to tell. And the 6GB RAM variant is going to be for 17,000 rupees, which was earlier for 16,000 rupees, but still this keeps the phone under 18,000 rupees, so it is still maintained according to the title of our video. So the links will be given in the description. If you want to buy any of the variants, the links will be from Flipkart definitely, because this phone is available only on Flipkart, so the links will be in the description. So guys, let's divide this full review into pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. This phone have decent build quality, and I think the metal back is pretty much very durable. The front display is also pretty durable, as the company claims it's a Gorilla Glass, and it's an 18:9 display, which makes the phone look pretty modern, and it's a Full HD plus display, with great colors and all things. We have the great battery life, which is going to last more than a day in most of the cases, and the great camera, which is going to give you great details in every shot, and also the immersive gaming experience, and you can play almost heavy titles like Asphalt 8 and all, maybe the strategy games and arcade games and all that. Now let's talk about the cons. Now this phone doesn't have the best portrait photos currently, and I think that's because of the edge detection, and the photos come out pretty kind of a blur. And this phone also doesn't have 4K video recording, but I think it's not a deal breaker. But if some of you consider 4K recording and don't want to compromise with that, then it's a con. And also this phone is using micro USB, and in 2018 micro USB is going to get dead, I guess, and my USB-C type should have been provided, as their own Mi A1 was having a USB type C, but why not this one, I don't know. So this was all for the pros and cons. So as we are done with the pros and cons and covering up all the points, let's come down to the end verdict. I feel that Xiaomi has managed to put out such an amazing phone at such a price point, but with a bit of compromises, and everybody knows that nothing in the tech industry can be perfect. But if your requirement is of a budget phone with great cameras, gaming performance, and one of the best battery life, and can compromise with the 1080p videos, you can go for this phone, as no other phone in such price segment is so value for money. But if Mi was not what you like, you can wait for the Mi A2, which might be launching soon, and will have the Snapdragon 660, which is going to be more powerful than this, and that phone is going to be costlier than this one. Or even you can wait for the Zenfone 5 with a similar configuration launching in mid-June. So this was all from my side, guys. If you find this video helpful or even entertaining, then do subscribe, stay geeky, and peace.